I know so many gyms have a massive, massive issue with churn, people leaving. As a neurodivergent person, I can tell you, if you can accommodate us, we are loyal. We're loyal because we don't like change. The hidden barriers in gyms. Now, why are gyms still not built for people like us? Why? Welcome back to the Not So Typical Fitness Podcast. This is the podcast for people who don't fit the usual fitness mold and for people who are trying to find a way to make their lives healthier and finding a way to prioritize their health in a way that works for them. So I'm your host, Rhiannon. I'm a qualified personal trainer. I've got autism and ADHD and anxiety and probably a whole load of other things. The main thing is that I specialize in helping other neurodivergent people or people with anxiety or mental health issues learn how to get started on their own fitness journey. And today I basically want to say something that doesn't get said enough, in my opinion, and that is that gyms are not accessible for everyone. If you're autistic, if you've got ADHD, if you're neurodivergent in any way, so this could be just some body image issues, it could be anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, CPTSD, which I always laugh at because it's really hard to say and I think I have it. But what you might find is that gyms are not really built with you in mind. So this episode is for anyone who's ever walked into a gym and felt that immediate smack in the face and overwhelming feeling of nope, not for me, no, not a place for me. If you've ever thought, is it just me? Well, I am here to tell you it is not. So let's talk about today why gyms still feel like they are built for a very specific type of person and what we, me and you, and everybody listening can actually do about it, because there are things we can do. Have you ever walked into a gym and wanted to leave? Because I have plenty of times. So let's start here. You walk into a gym. You are full of good intentions. You've planned it. You've psyched yourself up. You've probably overthought about what to wear and what trainers you need, but you're going. And then you're hit with music that is too loud or too fast or has jarring noises like jazz, which I personally cannot stand because it makes my head feel like it's inside. Is there bright light or neon light or flickering bulbs? Because actually it doesn't bother neurotypical people, but you hyperfixate on it when you go in. What about crowded spaces? So you're a working person. You're going to go to the gym after work because it's the only time that makes sense for you. But then you're in that 5:30 p.m. group of busy professionals who swarm the gym because they too want to get home. It's busy and people are unpredictable and people will change direction, literally left, right and centre. That can be overwhelming. Now, what about those giant mirrors that are almost everywhere in a gym and they reflect everything back to you? You cannot avoid seeing yourself and you cannot avoid seeing other people who might be looking at you. And if they're not looking at you, maybe they're looking in the mirror and they can see you in the mirror. And what about the people who just seem to know what to do whilst you're frozen, not sure which dumbbell to pick up because you've never actually held a dumbbell? And no one actually says anything because you're new and nobody knows you and you feel like you're being watched and you feel like you're being judged and you feel out of place and you feel like you just don't belong. And even with all the preparation in the world, that feeling can come out of nowhere and hit you smack in the face. And we're not talking about laziness. We're not talking about excuses. We're talking about the fact that gyms are an environment that can be really stressful for people because it's a place where image is important. And of course, the gym is a place that's focused around health and fitness. So if you don't adhere to the traditional vision of health and fitness, or if you don't fall into a normal looking person for whatever reason, that can make the gym feel really uncomfortable. We're talking about things that are environmental and emotional and issues that for neurodivergent people are often linked to sensory overwhelm as well. So can you think of a time when your environment, not your motivation, so you had all the best intentions, but the environment that you went to was the reason that you couldn't stay or follow through? Because this is something that happens a lot. We can have all the best intentions in the world, and yet when you go to do it, you just can't because you're overwhelmed. And I think this is one of the big issues when it comes to being neurodivergent, is that many gyms and just businesses in general, they often focus on physical access. So this could be things like wheelchair ramps, accessible toilets. It could be having wider doors so that wheelchairs can get through. Now, I'm not saying these things aren't important, because they absolutely are. But what about people who have mental health issues? What about neuroaccessibility? So here are just a few invisible barriers that I've experienced, or not just me, but people in my community have shared. So no clear signage, no layout to the gym. Now, you might be sat there thinking, yes, someone could ask, where are the toilets? But some of us can't. Some of us can't go and have that conversation. And that's assuming that there are even people around to have the conversation with. I can honestly say, working in a gym, there are so many different types of personal trainers, and there are some that will help you no matter what. But there are others who, if you don't look a certain way, they don't want to help you. And that's a horrible feeling to be in. If you've got ADHD or anxiety, sometimes not knowing where things are will mean that you won't go there, or that you will sacrifice your own well-being because you don't want to have to ask somebody where to go. Think about bathrooms and toilets. If you don't know where they are, some people can't have a conversation with a stranger. They're nervous, they're afraid. They belong in a gym. They should be able to go to the bathroom if they need a wee, but they can't ask. So just have a map. Then there are inductions that assume this prior knowledge, and they might ask questions like, what do you train? And they might ask you, like, do you do high rock? What if you don't know what these things are? What if you don't have prior knowledge of things? So an invisible barrier is when a person leading an induction is using jargon, is assuming that you know these things, and they're not asking questions to you to allow you to explain that you don't know. Or maybe there's no option to ask any questions without feeling judged at all. I've had members of my community tell me that when they've asked a question, they've been laughed at. I've had people in my community tell me that people have commented on their form, but then not provided any information or points to improve on. That's not accessible. It's quite humiliating. And it's really difficult to hear that as a personal trainer, because all I set out to do is help people. But sadly, a lot of people out there aren't in it for that. Sometimes, and this is one for me, so neurotypical people often can just ask questions and find out things as they go. I'm a big advocate, and I've been writing blogs on this for a long time, about video guides and visual aids on how to use equipment, but also on things like finding the gym or setting up the padlock. Informational videos like knowing that the main door locks at 10 p.m. and in order to get in, because you can still get in, but you need to scan a QR code that's over there. I like to know how things work, because the idea of not knowing is awful for me. And then what about going to a fitness class and having instructors who speak fast or don't use a mic, or they don't check understanding? People who just seem too busy to help, or like we're not important. What if somebody is judging us based on the fact we can't make eye contact? These are all hidden barriers to fitness. And they're all things that me and people in my community have experienced. And these things aren't hard to implement. Have a map that shows where the cardio machines are. Have video guides showing where they are. Have things around the gym where it makes it really clear who to go to ask a question. And just have people on the gym floor who are nice and smiley and friendly and want to help. I think the worst thing is, though, there's this unspoken assumption that you should already know how to go to the gym. You should already know all these things. You should already know what a leg press is. You should already know how to scan in at the door. This assumption is genuinely what stops so many people from getting started. And that assumption is why I talk about just my induction process over and over again on my social media, because I am showing you how to run an induction that will accommodate neurodivergent people and how to welcome people in who are a bit different. And I can tell you, even when I'm on shift at the gym and I have someone neurotypical who just happens to turn up for an induction, so they haven't booked one with me specifically, but they'll comment on how good it is and how they feel as though they know what to do and how to get started. That's what every induction should feel like, not just for somebody to know, here's the cardio, here's the studio, here's the resistance machines. Explain to them where they can go for help, who they can talk to, how they can do different things. Like, it's not hard as a personal trainer to provide this value and service to people. And it's sad because so many people have this assumption, and maybe they're right, that most personal trainers and people in the gym think that you should know all these things. I'm here to tell you don't. And we all start somewhere. And that's why I do things so much differently. And that's why I have a free community so you can come and ask questions, because you never know, someone might know the answer because they've experienced it too. And I just want to share information. I don't want to gatekeep. I just want people to learn how to move their body in a way that works for them and how to get started on their own fitness journey. I have a long-term dream of being a neurodivergent gym consultant, where I would love to go into gyms and conduct an audit on how neuro-inclusive they are. And maybe if I put it out there, it'll actually happen. But if not, if you own a gym or you're a personal trainer and you're just listening to learn, then I'm going to run through my gym accessibility wish list, because I think if you implement these things, you will be helping so many people get started on their journey. So none of it needs to be complicated. It doesn't need to be expensive. Yeah, for sure, there are expensive options you could do, but we don't need to. We can start small and we can just redesign gyms to feel more inclusive and more neurodivergent friendly. So here is what I would do. Oh, and one day I hope I can look back on this episode and be proud of myself, because I will have a neuro-inclusive gym of my own, and I want it to be pink because I love pink. And for me, fitness should be about feeling good, and I would feel so good walking into my own gym with pink everywhere. So anyway, you don't need to do your gym pink, but follow these sort of ideas and things to help improve accessibility. So have video guides for every single piece of equipment. And I don't just mean the ones that come on the actual equipment themselves. They're useful, but they can be quite difficult to interpret. Have a QR code on the machine with literally a video of a person doing the exercise. You don't need to have it where you explain it. Just have a video someone can watch again and again. They'll get it, but have it there. Advertise quiet hours when you know the gym be quiet. Or one step even better than that is have some low sensory time slots where you actually have reduced lighting, lower music, and fewer people. Have times at the gym where you have to book in advance to go, and cap it. You might feel like you're missing out, but I promise, I won't promise because I don't want to get sued, but I bet you if a gym advertised that, you would get more members. You don't have to do it for every hour. Have one time a week where somebody can come knowing it will be quiet and it will be sensory friendly. Have flexible induction options, so have some video walkthroughs that can be watched at home in advance, and then still offer the induction. You don't have to have one or the other, but have them there, have them available. I also think having things like clear, colour-coded signage could help with this idea of orientation. So I haven't quite worked out how this would work, but if you have a red area that's cardio, the flooring could be different, because some people will be told, here's the cardio area, but they don't know what cardio means, or they don't know which pieces of equipment fall into that. Some people just don't know. So make it really clear and have a map when you walk in so someone can look and think, right, cardio, bikes, and they know where they are. Something really important, though, is have staff trained in communication skills, not just scripts. And I know gyms try and do this. I've had onboarding with 2 different chain gyms, like national chain gyms. They try and do it. They talk about making eye contact, checking in, asking about goals. But I think that staff should be more aware of neurodivergence and different communication styles. Have printed as well as video. Have the option to have quiet inductions where you're given a tour and then some written information at the end. That might help more people get started. Have spaces to sit, to breathe, to decompress without feeling like you're getting in the way. Just have some tables and chairs, have a sofa, have a quiet room, have something. Just somewhere people can go when they feel overwhelmed. But most importantly, just have a culture that doesn't assume that everybody learns or processes things the same way, because we are all different. I am different from my wife, who's different from you, who's different from them. And I truly think that fitness should be for everyone, and it can be for everyone, not just neurotypical people, not just confident people, and not just people who are already fit. The issue is we need to make fitness accessible, because everyone deserves to feel safe, to feel welcome, to feel empowered, and to feel able to move their body in a way that works for them. So if you work in a gym, please listen to that, because it makes a difference. And I'm not here to criticize, I'm here to offer insight, and this insight could genuinely help more people feel safe enough to walk through your doors and stay. I know so many gyms have a massive issue with churn. people leaving. As a neurodivergent person, I can tell you, if you can accommodate us, we are loyal. We're loyal because we don't like change. So if you have ever been made to feel like the gym wasn't made for you, I see you and I've been you, and to be honest, I am you. And I'm going to promise here, because I will, it's not your fault. And you do deserve to move in ways that feel safe and empowering and not so typical. And if this episode resonated, send it to a gym owner or a PT, or send it to somebody who's designing spaces with good intentions but has limited perspective. We need to speak up as a community of people who need it to be different. And that's what I'm doing. And if you've got your own wish list for gym accessibility, message me, because I've had some really cool conversations. I've had people reach out to me saying they'd love the idea of like a waiting list to go on a piece of a machine, go on a machine like a treadmill because it's busy. Like, what would you have on your list? Anyway, until next time, show up, stay you, and remember, you're not the problem. It is the system. It is not you.